Hi, friends. Hey, how do you feel about Ferris wheels? Yeah, Ferris wheels. Well, if you're anything like my kiddo, you see a Ferris wheel and you get so excited because you love adventure. But if you're anything like me, you see a Ferris wheel and you see how high it goes and it makes you a little teeny bit nervous. Yeah, I don't know if you know this about me, friends, but I do not like big high things. It's not my favorite. But you know what? I want to have fun with my kiddo more than I'm afraid of high heights. So, what I normally do is, even though I'm not excited to begin with, I get very, very brave and I just go for it. And we normally end up having a great time anyway, even if we're super high. So, that's what I did this weekend. And when I get to something that I'm a little nervous about, especially like a Ferris wheel, I do two things. I try to figure out how much time I have before I have to go on the ride to really hype myself up and get myself excited. So, the first thing I do is I count how many spots are available. So, can you help me count how many spots are available on this Ferris wheel? Oh, thank you so much. Here we go. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. Okay, so there are 10 spots available on this Ferris wheel. So the first thing I do is look to see how many spots. Then I look to see how many people are ahead of me. Well, I see 9 people wearing red t shirts. And I see a smaller group, and there are 5 people wearing yellow t shirts. So I know that I don't have to go on that ride until at least 9 plus 5 get a go, right? So I'm excited. Okay, but I need to figure out how many people that is. Well, if we have 9 and we have 10 spots, all 9 of those people get to go on, right? Ooh, but the Ferris wheel can't move until all 10 spots are filled. Oh, I don't see any just groups of one person. Oh no, what are we gonna do, friends? Oh, we could have that group of 5 break up and one person could fill in that 10th spot. Ah, genius. Excellent. So, all right. So I have one full 10 spots filled, and then I have 4 people left over. So if I wanted to know really quickly how many people were ahead of me in line, how many would there be? Yeah, I could just say 10 and then count on those 4. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, I love it. That means I have 14 people ahead of me before I have to get on this Ferris wheel. That's plenty of time to get myself excited. Well, you know what? This reminds me of what we've been doing in math. Yeah, we have been making a 10 to add, and that's exactly what we just did with this Ferris wheel, right? Yeah, except for, well, we don't really have Ferris wheels in our classroom, right? What's a tool that we could use to show what we just did in a nice visual picture? What if we got a 10 frame? Yeah, that's kind of like a Ferris wheel. It has 10 spots. And well, we don't have a whole bunch of people bopping around our classroom with red t-shirts on and yellow t-shirts on, but we do probably have counters. So we could get out 9 red counters and 5 yellow counters, right? To be the 2 different groups. Perfect. And now we can just move the counters around to show what we did. We started out by having 9 people with red shirts fill in all the spots. But that didn't fill up all of the 10 spots, or that doesn't fill up our 10 frame. How many more do we need to add to 9 to get to 10? Yeah, excellent. 1. Perfect. And since I don't see 1 down there, so what are we going to do? That's exactly right. We have to break apart that group of yellow, right? Do you remember what the fancy way is of saying that? Yes, decompose. Good job, friends. Can you go ahead and say that fancy word, decompose? Excellent. Now, decompose, if you remember, means to break a number into smaller parts. So that's exactly what we were going to have to do. We're going to take that 5 yellow group and we're going to break it apart. We're going to decompose it. And we're going to put 1 part into our 10 frame to make our 10. And then the 4 other parts are left over. And now the reason why we make a 10 is why. Why do we even bother with making a 10 when we're adding? Yeah, because we can see that amount very quickly. It's one of our friendly numbers, right? Now that we filled up our 10 frame, we know that's 10. And then to figure out the total amount, we just have to add on. So we could say 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And that was a nice, efficient way of figuring out how many people were ahead of us. And when we're adding 9 plus 5, we could just make a 10, and there you go. You know, our learning goal for today is all about doing what we did with this Ferris wheel group. Our learning goal says, I can make a 10 when 9 is an addend. So today we're going to look at number sentences. And as soon as we see a 9, we're going to think about how close that 9 is to making a 10. And we're going to use the other addend to decompose it to help us make that 10. So we're going to use, well, I'm going to use a 10 frame. Now, I don't know if you have any 10 frames available to you. If you do, I have 10 frames and counters. Ooh, go ahead and pause this and go grab them. But if not, no worries. I will be in charge of the pictures today. Okay. But what I would like you to do, well, at least for part of it, what I would like you to do right now is I want you to go grab a dry erase board and a marker or a piece of paper and a pencil, because we are going to go ahead and use our number sentences to show how we're going to make our 10. Okay, so press pause while you do that. Press play when you're ready. Okay, so here we go. I don't worry about drawing a 10 frame, friends, but what I would like you to do on your dry erase board or on your piece of paper is go ahead and write that number sentence. 9 plus 6 equals something. We don't know yet, right? We're figuring that out. Go ahead and write that. Press pause while you do it and press play when you're ready. Okay, do you have your number sentence? Oh, perfect. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a picture or move counters to show each of those addends. So I'm going to start out, I'm just going to go ahead and put that 9 right in my 10 frame, because we're going to be using 9 to make a 10. Okay, so 9, I get to see that with my counters already in my 10 frame, and then plus 6. Well, all 6 can't fit in there, so I'm going to go ahead and put those below for right now. Okay, now this is where we're going to make our 10. So if we have 9 already in our 10 frame, how many of the yellow ones do we need to move in there? That's exactly right, just 1. Because 9 plus 1 equals 10. Perfection. Okay, well, we just decomposed that 6, but we did not show that in our number sentence. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So I want you underneath your 6. Can you go ahead and do your little caret? And that's where we're going to show the 2 parts that we have of 6. Now, I want you to press pause. See if you can figure out when we broke that 6 apart, what did we break it into? See if you can finish the carets where we put in the numbers that we broke it apart into, then press play to check yourself. Okay, so one of our parts is 1, right? That's the 1 that we added to 9 to put into our 10 frame. Perfect. What was the other part? 5. Exactly. Good job, friends. And do you remember, how can we check ourselves to make sure we have our parts correct? Yeah, well, 1 and 5, they're actually, when we add them together, that makes 6. And if you're adding the parts together and they don't make what you just broke apart, well, then you got to make an adjustment, okay? But ours looks beautiful. Okay, so we had 9 plus 6. We decomposed the 6 to take out that 1 to make our 10 with the 9 in the 10 frame. And then we have 5 left. So what I would like you to do is, can you go ahead and write a brand new number sentence to show how you would add what we have created now? We made our 10. So what's the new number sentence you could write? Press pause while you work on it and press play to check yourself. Okay, well, our goal was to make a 10. So what's going to be our first add-in? Yes, we can go ahead and jump to 10, right? We made that with our 10 frame. We had the 9 and then we had the 1 added to it. So 10 plus, exactly, 5. That's the other part that's left over. And then what does that equal, friends? We can just count on 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Good job. Excellent. Okay. Well, we're moving and grooving. We're doing a great job of using that 9 to make a 10. All right. What I would like you to do right now is erase your dry erase board and find a new spot on your piece of paper, because we're going to do another one. Now, this time, I'm going to have you draw the picture. So we're not going to use our 10 frames. We're going to draw a good picture. And what I would like you to do is make sure you have enough space to do all this good work, okay? So at the top, I want you to write this new number sentence. It's 9 plus 7 equals something. We have no idea yet. Okay, go ahead and do that. Now remember, if I go too fast, you can always press pause and then just press play when you're ready. Okay, now that we have our number sentence, I want to draw a good, quick picture of those 2 addends. So what can we do, friends? Yeah, let's draw a quick picture of that 9. Can you go ahead and do that? Press pause while you do it. Press play when you're ready. Okay, did you draw your 9? Now you want to make sure that you are very organized. So I totally recommend doing them in 5 groups, kind of all together, like you're creating your own 10 pack, right? And make sure they're nice and neat rows. Okay, we have our 9. And then what's the other add-in we need to draw a picture of? Perfect, 7. Go ahead and do that. Press pause while you do it. Press play when you're ready. Okay, did you draw your 7? Perfect. Now, when I'm drawing 2 different add-ins, I just like to color in one of them so I can show that they're 2 different things. Okay, so that's what I did. Now, we're going to make a 10, though, and we have our 9. How many do we need to take out of that 7 to add to our 9 to get to 10? Yes, exactly. 1, because 9 plus 1 is 10. So I want you to get your marker or your pencil right now, and I want you to draw a circle. We're going to draw a circle around the 9 and then loop it around one of the ones from the 7, okay? So you can show your 10. Mine kind of looks like this. Yeah, it's kind of lumpy, kind of fun. All right, and now I want to label that because I want to make sure everyone knows what I'm doing, okay? So I want to show that change. So I'm going to go ahead and write 10 because that's exactly the new group that I just made, right? And I'm trying to find the total. So what do I still need to do? I can't stop at 10. Yes, I need to add in the other part. So what's the next add in, the new one that we created when we broke apart that 7? Good, yeah, we just have to count how many are left over after we took the 1. So let's go ahead, 5, 6. All right, so 10 plus 6, that's the other part that's left over, equals what, friends? Ding, 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 ding. Yes, 16. I know, because I said 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Perfect. So I figured out I made a 10, and that made our new number sentence 10 plus 6 equals 16. And that must also mean that 9 plus 7 is 16, because it's the same thing. We just did it making a 10. Okay, I'm going to have you try another one. So go ahead and find a new spot. Now this time, I'm going to go ahead and give you the number sentence. I want you to go ahead and we're going to challenge ourselves on this one. So hang on, I'm going to give you those instructions in a second. Go ahead, write this number sentence. So it's 9 plus 4 equals something. And now this time, we're going to do a little math in our brains, okay? If you need to draw a picture with it, you can, but you don't have to this time because under that 4, I want you to draw your little caret. All right, now in our brain, and you could even use your counting sticks if you want for this one, because we're going to show the change that we're going to do because we want to make a 10. So we have 9 plus 4. How many do we need to break? What part of 4 do we need to take to add to that 9? Yeah, we need one part of it, right? So let's go ahead and write that as one of our parts. And then this is what I want you to do. I want you to figure out what's the other part that's left of that 4. Go ahead and write it down. Oh, 3. Good job, friends. And how can we check ourselves to make sure we have both parts that equal 4? Yeah, we can just add them together, right? Because we took 4 and we broke it apart. So we should be able to add those together and get back to 4. 3 plus 1. Yep, that equals 4. All right, perfect. Okay, so we didn't have to draw a picture for this one because 9 adding 1 is pretty quick. So we're getting to the point where sometimes we can definitely always draw a picture, but we might just be able to show it in the number sentence, showing the change with our little caret to show the parts, okay? So I just want to show you how you can do both. Now, okay, we decomposed that 4. We broke it apart to get 1 and 3. And what are we going to do now? Yep, we're going to make our 10. So can you go ahead and start writing a new number sentence below when we made our 10? Perfect. We're going to go ahead and 10 plus. Now, what do we still need to add? Yep, we only used part of that 4, so we have to add the other part, which is what? Perfect. Go ahead and write it down. Yep, 3. Okay, and if we add 10 plus 3, what's going to be our answer? You're so good. 10, 11, 12, 13. So that was also mean 9 plus 4 is equal to what? Also 13. Good job, friends. You know what? Our learning goal for today says I can make a 10 when 9 is an addend. And that's exactly what we did. And 9 is so close to 10, so it's really an exciting number to see. When I see a 9 when I'm adding, I get so excited because I know that I can just grab one out of the other addend and I can make a 10 really quickly. So I want you to keep practicing that, friends. You're doing such a great job. And remember, anytime you're making a change, when you're making a 10 or anything else, you want to make sure that you're showing that either in your picture or in your number sentence or both. So everybody knows our good thinking. All right. Have fun, friends. See you next time.